Take a look at this. Everyone knows this iconic scene from Jurassic Park. However, without John Williams' brilliant composition, the mood is entirely different. Instead of feeling that sense of wonder and excitement, the scene plays out as if it's a nature documentary. If we decide to add in a dramatic score, our mood shifts again to a sense of dread and terror. This example is meant to highlight the importance of music in film. The composition of a song and how it's used by a director play a pivotal role in evoking certain emotions from the audience. Most movies have entirely original soundtracks for this reason, as the level of creative control is essentially unlimited. If that's the case though, why even bother using pop music? Before we get into pop music specifically, let's dive further on what the purpose of music in cinema is. The most important thing that any composition should do in a scene is evoke emotion. Every director knows this. A horror film's score will create a dark, unsettling atmosphere using violins and cellos. In contrast, a superhero flick may use lively trumpets and horns to convey a sense of hope and optimism. The absence of music can also be just as important for those hard-hitting moments and dialogue-heavy scenes.
You're sheltering enemies of the state, are you not?
In short, all compositions should contribute to the overall tone. However, this is just one purpose of music. Good directors and composers take their score to the next level by not just associating them with certain emotions, but also using them as a tool to develop certain characters or themes in their story. The lyrics, genre, tempo, and instruments used in a song can give the audience insight into the deeper meaning of a scene, even if only on a subconscious level. As an example, let's take a look at Denis Villeneuve's Dune. The Atreides theme is grandiose with bagpipes and electric guitars, reflecting the house's status as an imperial power. This is in contrast to the theme of Arrakis, with its atmospheric melodies and vocals, giving us a mystic and tribal feel. While it is commonplace to have musical numbers associated with certain characters, looking at you, Wonder Woman, Dune goes one step further and combines elements from different themes together. As an example, Paul's internal struggle between his Atreides and Fremen identity is audibly conveyed by which score is used. If you want a further breakdown of Dune's use of music, I highly recommend this video by Thomas Flyer, as he goes into a lot more depth than I have here. The reason I bring all this up is to highlight that the level of creative control directors and sound designers have when working with original compositions is essentially infinite. Not only can they meticulously pick every aspect of the score, tone, lyrics, instruments, chord progression, and more, they are able to work with individual elements from each composition. Because Dune has its own music, it is possible to extract the Bene Gesserit chanting from their theme and mix it with the Atreides theme, as done in this scene to represent Jessica's internal conflict between the two factions.
Will you protect Paul?
So now that you understand the unlimited power of OSTs, I will ask again, why even bother using pop music?
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to the members of my group.
Before I break down why I think it can be so effective in the right context, let me clarify what I mean, otherwise I'll get a million comments arguing over my use of terminology. When I say pop music, I'm not just talking about Taylor Swift, Sabrina Carpenter, and whatever else you currently hear on the radio right now. Instead, I am using it in a pop culture sense. From now on, whenever I say pop music, just know that I am referring to works that are not specifically composed for film, rather artistic works throughout history that are at least somewhat well known by the public. Yes, that includes Taylor Swift, but also think Elvis, Fleetwood Mac, Frank Sinatra, David Bowie, Billie Holiday, Pink Floyd, Louis Armstrong, and even Mozart. Now, we established earlier that the two most important things a composition should do in each scene is 1. Evoke emotion. The music should reflect what we want the audience to feel. 2. Add depth. Music is elevated further by intertwining it with the themes and characters of the film. The thing is, original compositions are able to get away with only fitting that first criteria. Pop music isn't, and that's why I believe so many people can't stand it in a lot of movies. If the director chooses an existing song and it says nothing about the character's thoughts or core themes of the movie, it will come across as shallow and boring. We can always... Using pop songs without purpose is the filmmaker's way of telling us that they're lazy. We would much rather hear original scores a majority of the time, since they are designed with intent, even if that intent is purely to set the mood. That being said, I still think that they have one advantage over using an original composition, and that's familiarity. I know I said earlier that it's lazy to use a familiar song without purpose, but hear me out for 1 second. What if we used a familiar song with purpose? By taking in Recently, I saw Heretic in cinemas, which was a lot of fun. Hugh Grant gives a chilling performance as Mr. Reed, a creepy Reddit atheist determined to destroy the faith of 2 Mormon girls who stumble into his home. I bring up this movie because while it mostly uses an original score, there are 2 pop songs employed to great effect. In one of the most memorable scenes of the film, Mr. Reed argues that all religions are just different iterations of each other.
Iterations.
He draws comparison to Creep by Radiohead copying the chord progression of The Air That I Breathe by the Hollies, since the latter band sued for plagiarism. He plays a vinyl of The Air That I Breathe while this occurs, to drive home the point. A solid example of diegetic music. What's even better comes during a later scene, when the girls are trapped in the basement. Mr. Reed plays Creep over the speakerable experience. When a pop song is used effectively in film, it is usually diegetic, meaning it exists within the scene itself. What a character chooses to play can say a lot about their personality and emotional state. However, this still doesn't explain why some movies can get away with a soundtrack consisting entirely of pop music, much of it not being diegetic. Think Baby Driver, Guardians of the Galaxy, and even Shrek. These films have very few original pieces, with many just being covers of existing songs instead. The thing is, it still works because the music used is integral to the core themes of the story being told. Let's break down all 3 to see what I mean. In Baby Driver and Guardians of the Galaxy, music is intertwined with the main characters' personalities. Baby finds catharsis in it due to his tinnitus and grief over losing his parents. Similarly, Star-Lord's Walkman serves as his only connection to his deceased mother. In both cases, the music they play reflects the characters' histories and current emotional states. Therefore, in order to keep the style of each film consistent, certain genres and decades of pop music are employed to great effect. While Shrek doesn't have the same direct connection between its characters and music, it manages to make good use of it in a different way. When you really break it down, Shrek and its sequels are meant to be parody films that poke fun at stereotypical princess fairy tales. DreamWorks opposed Disney in the animation space, and hence created a series intended to counteract their dominance in the industry by the early 2000s. This means a lot of pop culture references and making a mockery of fairy tales, hence why you get Smash Mouth's All-Star in the opening sequence. The entire soundtrack consists of rock and pop music that fits with the parody tone of the film, with each song carefully selected in order to reflect what is happening on screen. And that's why the unoriginal soundtracks work so much better in these films. Not only do their style and genres make sense, given the characters and themes of the story, but each song has a specific purpose in the narrative. Sometimes it can be just for show, like Bell Bottoms from Baby Driver's opening sequence. But other times it can be used for emotional purposes, like The Chain in Guardians 2. In that scene, the song's lyrics and somber tone mesh well with how the gang feels upon splitting up. And if you don't love me now, you will never love me again. Sure, we could just write an original score instead, but our existing familiarity with the music makes the characters on screen more relatable, meaning we can empathize with them better. As far as I'm aware, there is one other scenario where a pop song might work well, and that's in a montage. The opening sequences from Rocky III and The Devil Wears Prada are iconic, becoming complete mainstays of pop culture. Both work due to their respective songs' lyrics and tone. The upbeat electric guitars and motivational words of Eye of the Tiger mesh perfectly well with the style of the film and Rocky Balboa's journey. Meanwhile, KT Tunstall's Suddenly I See is fun, uplifting, and has lyrics that can be repurposed to reflect the world of fashion. Overall, if you want to use an existing pop song in your movie, the most important thing to consider is its purpose. Music should add depth to your narrative, so think, does it match with the style of the film? Do the lyrics have anything to say about my themes or characters? If not, you might be better off using an original composition instead. Music is obviously just one aspect of a movie, but it was a lot of fun to research and think about the creative ways it can be used. If you enjoyed this video, you might like what else I have to offer. Be sure to subscribe for more content and leave a like below since, well, you made it this far.